Hi, I'm Natalie from SoHungryHippie.com, and today we are going to make this really simple and easy little zipper pouch. It has a boxed bottom, so there is some depth to it. It'll stand up on its own. It has a nice little D-ring attachment with a wrist strap. This is optional. You can always leave that off if you want. But this is kind of nice if you're going in shopping somewhere and you only want to carry your wallet, your phone, maybe a chapstick or something. You can just pop it in here and not have to carry your whole bag. All of the techniques today are beginner friendly, so don't be afraid if you've never sewn a zipper in. I'm going to walk you through it. I heavily work with, it's my soft vinyl collection. You can pin it, scrunch it, wash it, dry it, iron it from the wrong side. It's awesome. Now, I am going to be using by Annie foam, soft and stable foam interfacing. In the pattern, which you might have in front of you, you can also use fusible fleece. You could also substitute leftover quilt batting for your interfacing. Do whatever you are most comfortable with, because that's going to be the most fun for you for the first time around. I always say the first time through a pattern is sort of like testing and making sure you understand all the concepts. And then once you've got that under your belt, then explore and use other materials. So I am going to take you overhead and we're going to cut our materials right now. Okay, so first up we are cutting our vinyl strap piece first. I'm just going to move this. I'm just going to cut the whole length because I'll probably make another strap later. So I'm going to lay this down. And there's my strap piece. If you want to make your strap bigger or smaller, you definitely can. First time through, see how it is for you. Okay, and then I'm going to cut my little D strap attachment. 3. There's my D strap attachment. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side. And now for my exterior body pieces. I'm going to cut off this selvage here. And then we need 2 pieces. There are my exterior body pieces. Now, since we're on the exterior, let's go ahead and do our foam interfacing. If you're doing fusible fleece, you can just cut to this size and fuse it now to the back. I'm using foam, and what I like to do with foam is give myself some extra room. And so this is how I would cut it out. And then I'm going to baste around the edges here. And then I'll trim the foam down. It's just my personal preference. You can do what suits you the best. This is what works for me. Now, since I'm here, I'm going to come in here and cut a 3/4 size strip for my strap later, because I like my straps a little cushiony. That's optional. You don't have to do that. All right, so let's baste this. I'm going to turn up to a basting stitch. I'm using a 4. I'm using Gutermann thread. I have a regular universal 80-12 needle in here. Pivot at the corners, lift your foot, keep your needle down in the vinyl. I sort of smooth it out so that it will hold. Okay, so there's that piece. Now let's do the other piece. lose my thread there? Okay, so now I'm going to trim that excess foam away. My exterior piece is ready there. And this trims the threads at the same time, so 2 for 1. Okay, so now I'm going to cut my lining pieces. Just going to give this a smooth out. Now I'm going to be piecing my SF101. I'll show you in a second. I do this a lot of times when I'm low on supplies. Okay. So now I've got these 2 pieces. And look at my SF101. It's like, I got to use up these scraps. It's too expensive to disregard. Just going to fuse that on. All right, now this side. This is going to be more jigsaw puzzle-ish. I'm going to do this. One. Now, a lot of times I won't do this with a lighter colored fabric because you risk seeing the joined edges on a light colored fabric. But I absolutely do this all the time with darker colored fabrics. And I just wanted to share it, this technique, because you got to do what you got to do. Save money where you can. And there is nothing wrong with piecing this and making it work. All right, so now I just need a little bit up here. See if I have something that will work. Just do that. Okay. So now, since these are all over, I'm just gonna carefully slide it over. I rather overlap than have any areas not interfaced. And I'm just gonna lift my iron up as I'm moving across the piece. Now I'm going to trim this away, and then I'm going to iron it from the front side. I just don't want to get that sticky glue on my iron if I can help it. If you're having any issues, it can help to have either a bit of steam or some flatter. This is what I use. I have this in the shop if you're local. I don't ship it because I'm afraid about these caps coming undone. Okay. Yay. So now I'm just going to clean up my area so that I'm organized and everything is good. All right, 2 exteriors, 2 lining pieces, the strap with its little foamy bit, and the D-ring. Now we're going to add our pull. Well, I already added my pull, but I'll show you how to add it. If you get zippers from me, I use my zipper jig. It's just super helpful and saves time. And I put on my pull first. Just know that if this edge is not perfectly in alignment with one another, that's totally normal. Just trim it off if it's not in line. Just trim off a little bit. It's okay. We want our zipper to be 10 3/4. So here's 10. There's about 3/4. All right. Boom. Now I did forget to cut my zipper tabs, but no worries. I'm just going to cut them really quick. Now I could cut them from the lining, or I could cut them from the soft vinyl. So since I have this left over that I'm not using, I'm just going to use the soft vinyl. It's awesome. It's soft enough to use for zipper tabs. So we're going to have 2 pieces that are 2 by 2. Get it thereabouts, close enough, right? Okay, we're going to fold it, make a crease, and then fold those 2 edges into the center, just like you do. And I'm going to do the tail end first. Tuck it in there all the way to the fold, and then sew across. Now you can use a pin or a clip to hold this in place for you. You don't have to be holding it with your fingers like I am. I've probably done 5 billion zipper tabs, so I'm okay with holding it. I'm going to turn my stitches back down to the usual length. And also, I'm not using a blending thread on purpose because I want you, if possible, to be able to see my stitching for this tutorial. Okay, just an FYI. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to sew this end so it stays shut a little bit. It can just help, especially when you've only got 2 hands. You're not an octopus. These are nylon zippers, not metal, even though they look metal. So you can just sew right across there. Now since we're over here, I'm just going to do my zipper tab again. Fold it to the center, make a crease, fold it in, fold it in. So like this, and then fold it again. I could totally go press this with a pressing cloth on my iron, but I'm just going to go for it. Awesome. Now we're going to trim so that this is flush with the zipper tape. Okay, there's that. So our zipper is ready to go. Let's do the strap. This is step 3. So we're going to do just what we did before. We're going to fold this in half lengthwise and make a center crease. You can just finger press it, or you can use those fancy rollers, whatever you like. Now we're going to fold these edges in and this edge in, and I bet you guessed it, we're going to fold it over like this. Where did I put my clips? Now I'm just training it at the moment. I'm going to slip this piece of foam in really soon, but first I'm going to train it. Okay. All right. I know I'm going to make some people scream, but this works. This is my pressing cloth for the moment. All right. So now I'm going to set this foam inside here and reclose it. Now, when you close this edge and you sew down, you want to make sure that your foam is not visible or peeking out anywhere. So that's why I cut it a little less wide than the strap, if you can see that. It's to give myself enough room to make sure it's completely enclosed. Now, the important part of this strap is we don't want to sew all the way down. We want to stop. I am not going to sew this portion closed yet, and you're going to see why in a second. This portion and this portion. Okay, the front and the back. Okay, so I'm going to scooch way down here to give myself some room. I'm going to start 3 inches, at least 3 or 4 inches down. I'm using a regular stitch length. Now on this part, if you would like to use a stiletto, go right ahead. It's good practice. Oops, I went too far. That's okay, I think I can make it work. I need to leave that open. I'm probably just going to unpick a few stitches. Not much. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that and that is open. I'm going to come in here and trim that much foam away. I'll show you why in a sec. So this, after we put on the D-ring, just for a balanced look, you definitely don't have to, but I like the wrist strap to look really balanced. And now you're going to take these edges, you're going to bring them right sides together, open them up. This is a little bit fiddly, so use your clips to help you. Open them all up flat. See where we're going with this? And then you're going to sew across that edge to enclose the strap. Okay, so this is how it looks like. I opened up those edges and we're sewing right across here to enclose the strap, but you got to make sure that your swivel hook is already on. Go as slow as you need to. You'll have to stop a couple of times to remove your clips and make sure both layers are opened up and flat. See, now we've already trained the fabric. Look what it wants to do. Now we have a gorgeous enclosed strap. All we have to do is finish sewing across that edge. You can use clips if you want. I'm going to finish sewing that. So I kind of stick it out to the side there like that. Remember, with matching thread, you're not going to see a stop and start or a lock stitch. And then I've got to do the other side. And there's our strap. Now, what I do is I pull the swivel hook down here by that seam. See that seam? It's not that noticeable, but I try to put my swivel hook on that or close to it. And then I'm going to sew across there. Or you could put a rivet. You could also put a rivet right here. You can sew across or put a rivet, and that will lock your swivel hook in place. So if you see here on this sample, she did not use any foam, so it's very, very thin. And as you can see, that is sewn right there, and that holds the swivel hook in place. And then this is all open for the wrist. So here it is right now. I'm just going to sew across that to lock it in place. Now this can get thick if you've used foam, so either smash it with a mallet or use a rivet or go slowly. Make sure that your foot is level. There you go. Don't hit the hardware either. If you risk it, put on glasses because I don't want you to hurt yourself. Done. I'm going to trim threads. I've got to put on my glasses to trim threads or I can't see them. That part is done. Now I'm going to do the same process. Well, it's not the same, but it's close. I'm going to do the same kind of thing for the D-ring, except I'm not going to add foam in here. Same process as the zipper tabs. I'm going to sew down both sides so it's a balanced look. Then I'm going to come over here. This is plenty of room. By the way, it's way too long for just one D-ring, but I did that on purpose so that when we go to put it in here, you have plenty of space to get that attached without risking your needle hitting your D-ring. Right now I'm going to make it even, so even Steven here, and I'm just going to sew across here to lock my D-ring into position. There it is. Okay, so the hard part is done there. Now we are going to flip the page. So we've got our zipper already prepared. We're going to take our zipper and lay it right sides down onto the exterior piece, making sure that we have a finger width space on each end. That's really important. If your zipper is going all the way across the width, it's too long. You need it to be centered and a finger width space on each end. And now we are going to sew down this area here. You can change to your zipper foot, that's a great idea. Or with this number 5 tape, you might have enough room with your patchwork foot or your 1/5 inch foot to scoot along the edge of the teeth here. Now, I don't like how it's curving here, so I'm going to move my pole out of the way and I'm going to straighten up that stitching. There we go. Now I like it. All right. So now let's move to the overhead. Take one of your lining pieces and lay it right sides down, right on top, sandwiching that zipper in between. Now I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to sew exactly on that line I just sewed. And here's the pull, I can feel it. So I'll have to move that when I get close to that area. Okay, I'm getting near that pole. I'm going to reach in there and move it back. Sometimes you might have to lift your foot, but keep your needle down. Keep that needle down in the fabric. If you're using a zipper foot, you probably don't need to even mess with that. I'm going to close this so it's easier to see. And now push those back away from the zipper. Fabrics are wrong sides together. Now I always press this. I want a really crisp finish. You don't want that lining pulling up into your teeth, making your zipper not functional. There we are. Now, if you wanted to, you can top stitch from the zipper end to the zipper end. It's up to you. I'm just going to let mine be right now. I am going to attach it to the other side though, but first, let me attach the D-ring. So I'm going to go about 1 inch down and put it on like that. If you move it around a little bit, it doesn't matter. Just get that thing attached. You can even make it way shorter if you want. Maybe I'll do that just so you know it won't mess it up. Okay. See how it's going to look when it's out? So I can trim off some of that excess. I like leaving a little excess just for strength, but that's fine. And make sure that this is not so close that it's going to mess up adding your zipper. That's why sometimes in instructions that is added last. But I think if you're just paying attention, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Oop. Make sure you get these on centered. And the pull down out of the way. Remember, you want a finger width of space at least between the ends of your zipper and the sides of the pouch. If you have a little more than that, it's fine. Okay, let's sew this down. Now, wherever my pole is, I'm going to find where that, oh yeah, it's way up here, so I have plenty of time. I'm getting the edge of my foot right up there against the teeth so that my line is straight. If you have a zipper foot, again, this is way easier. Just don't want it to stop you from making a pouch if you don't have one. You can do it. I'm going to lift my foot, my needle is down, and I'm going to move that pole out of the way. Needle is still down in there. I'm not losing my spot. And resume sewing. Lock stitch. So that side is attached. Now bring it back over to your work surface just like this, just as it is. Leave it like this. Take your remaining lining, right sides together. Oof. Now the reason I'm making the clear on this side is because I flip it over and I sew along here. So I wanted the flat side of the clip on that edge so that it slides through the sewing bed easily. Oh, I think I'm getting close to where that, yep, I am. I can tell because it will start to curve a bit. Oop, put your foot down. Make sure that looks good. So now I'm going to flip that side away from the zipper teeth and press. I want to show you something. It happens to the best of us, okay? If these are not perfectly in line, see how mine shifted over just a tiniest of bit? Whatever. Do not let that stop you. I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to trim this so it's exactly in line with this one down here. There is no harm done. Okay? Now it's perfectly in line. Everything is good. Sewing project saved. And this side will get a smidgen of a trim as well. If that means I need to rebaste some foam, so be it, I will. I don't even let that bother me for a second. Now it's straight. This side, my basted edge did get trimmed, so I'm just going to baste that really quick. I've had it happen before where I did not baste it again, and like an edge will get curled up or something, and then I have to go in and undo it. And nobody wants that, so just take a second and rebaste it. There, it's all good. I did not catch my lining in that, by the way. Okay, let's do our boxed corners. Make sure all your layers are good. Now I'm going to show you something here. You can pin my soft vinyl. Somebody's probably gasping. Don't worry. It's all good. Be happy. We're going to cut our boxed corners now. We're going to cut 1.5 inches. So if you need to flip it over and do this, you can. From the outside edges, make a 1.5 inch boxed corner. I use my acrylic ruler, it's easier for me. You want to make sure that these are correct, okay? Then we're going to do it to this end. It might be better for you going from the outside. We are going from the outside of the outside edge, not from any seam allowances, like, well, there shouldn't be any seam allowances yet anyway. Okay. We're going to sew the sides and all across the bottom and these edges of the lining. I'm going to leave a little bit of an opening in the bottom of the lining to turn this pouch later. So I'm going to start over here in the lining on this edge. And turn your stitch length back to usual stitch. And I am going to lock stitch all these corners. You're going right by the tabs. You are not sewing over your zipper tabs. That's why we left a little smidgen of space, a finger width space on each end of the zipper. It's because I am not catching any zipper tabs there, none. That's why it's easier to sew too. I'm going right by the zipper tabs, right by them. I can feel them right here. I can feel them right there. I'm not sewing over the zipper tab. Check something here, what happened here? Cut all that out. Resume. Okay. So now I've got a little bit of an opening here and everything else is sewn. Now we're going to take our boxes, stick your finger in there, make sure you've got fabric on all sides and flatten it like this. And now we're going to sew right across here. I like to use a clip to hold it in place. Once you do one, the others just naturally behave. And you can push the seams so they nest, one this way, one that way. And then we're going to do the same thing for the lining. I like to use pins in the lining. It's just what I'm more comfortable with. sew these corners. So here's a lining corner. I'm just flattening it down. Here's the other corner. Here's this corner. Here's this corner. Now you've got to really come in here with your fingers and push those corners out. And then come in here and push your tabs out. Stick your thumb in there and push it out. You have to do that. See what it wants to do naturally and act like a fool? No, you got to come in here with your fingers and pop it out. Push that thing out. There it goes. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm pushing the corners of the lining out. And then I'll take this to my ironing station and tuck these raw edges in. Give it a good press. And I'll sew that opening closed. And I usually check and make sure all my seams are looking good before I sew this shut. Looks good. Now I'm going to press this. Usually I would have my mini iron set up to do this pressing. Now I know ask me, well, I want to trim the foam out of my seam allowance, or I want to trim the fleece out of my seam allowance. You can go right ahead. If that bothers you, you can trim it out. It's personal preference. I like mine in the seam allowance. Some people don't. It's the beauty of sewing. You can do whatever you want. There's my zipper pouch. And then I simply just attach my lobster clasp. And there it is. How cute, right? Just a great size. Thanks for sewing with me. Now you can make 25 of these and take them to your next craft show or craft fair, whatever you do. If you do that kind of thing, you can adjust if you want the wrist strap or not, or adjust your box corners if you want it deeper and shorter, or change out your materials. You can absolutely do scrappy versions of this, or all fabric versions, or all, a different kind of vinyl, like a faux leather. You can do anything with this. That's the beauty of a simple pattern. You can play with it and make it super unique just by changing up a few things here and there. Thanks for sewing with me. I'll see you soon.